John Ladd owns 14,000 wild acres in southern Arizona, squared up against the Mexican border. It's land that's become extremely valuable for something besides ranching.
Come on, there.
For Mexico's illegal immigrants and drug cartels, it's a golden pathway into the U.S.
The easy part of getting across here is you got 3 miles to walk, and that's it. You get picked up at the highway and you're gone.
5 generations of Ladds have lived here. The family journeyed west over gritty trails and covered wagons in 1894. More than a century later, Ladd watches from his kitchen window as new immigrants, the illegal kind, regularly march across his land, oddly undeterred by the border fence, government surveillance cameras, and border agents patrolling the property.
How many illegal immigrants do you estimate have crossed your property?
I say about 500,000 people have been caught on the ranch.
That's the size of a city.
That's right. And that's what's been caught. That's not what's got through.
The past few years, the sheer number of Mexicans and those of other nationalities caught on his property is down. But Ladd says there's more illegal traffic coming in trucks filled with drugs.
Okay, I'm going to take you to where they've cut the wall 3 different times since February. They set ramps up on top here. They have a ramp going into Mexico, have a ramp coming into here. They drive the loaded trucks over the ramp, get them in, come up and cut all my fences going to the highway.
This recent video from Yuma, Arizona shows how they do it. The vehicle got stuck with its front end in the U.S. and its tail in Mexico. The passengers ran south.
The south side is all controlled by the cartel now, and the cartel has evolved to where they know what they're doing, and there's a lot of money at stake, and Border Patrol is still doing the same thing, deterring and chasing, and you know, we're not deterring anything, and we're not doing very well chasing them.
Ladd has come up with an astonishing theory as to why the battle seems so futile. He believes some of the federal agents entrusted with policing the border are on the take, working with Mexico's drug cartels.
There's a lot of people in a lot of positions that can be tempted. I don't think the general public knows how much money is involved with the people trade and the drug trade. And the bribe money to allow it to keep coming into the U.S. is astronomical.
More than 40,000 U.S. Customs and Border Protection agents guard the nation's borders, and the vast majority are honest. But drug cartels are working harder than ever to infiltrate their ranks.
They're using Cold War-style tactics, money, sex, drugs, to convince officers to work with them and to help get their products and their people across the border.
Special Agent Terry Reed is part of the FBI's ever-expanding operation working to root out corruption.
In 2007, there were only 6 border corruption task forces. Today, there are 24.
One of Reed's areas of responsibility is San Ysidro, California, at the U.S.-Mexico border, the largest land port of entry in the world. It processes 110,000 people a day.
Just a couple of weeks ago, we arrested someone here at the San Ysidro port of entry.
An officer on corruption charges?
That's right.
There have been more than just a few bad apples. A new report from the Department of Homeland Security's Inspector General lists 358 convictions of Customs and Border Protection employees and their associates since 2004. Complaints of misconduct are up by 77%.
This is our Border Corruption Task Force Wall of Shame.
The case of Officer Michael Gilliland is notorious.
He was a very senior agent. He taught all the new people at the port, but he was also passing loads, many loads, of undocumented illegal aliens through the border.
That's Gilliland allegedly carrying a cash payoff in a bag. He pled guilty to taking $120,000 in bribes to let in hundreds of illegal immigrants. There's also Agent Michael Gonzalez, captured by a police camera loading pot into his vehicle. Agent Marcos Manzano Jr. caught harboring illegal immigrants in his family's house. and Officer Luis Alarid. That's him walking to his inspection booth. Turns out the FBI had gotten a tip and was watching him off duty and on the job. Pay special attention to this white minivan he waves on through.
Inside the van are 18 undocumented people, all of them paying upwards of $5,000 to $8,000 per person to a smuggling organization for passage into the United States.
What's the officer's cut, something like that?
Well, we know from interviews with Luis Alarid that he was making $2,000 per person.
So for that load of 18 illegal immigrants, $36,000 into his pocket.
That's right. That's a substantial sum of money for somebody who had only been on the job a few weeks and was probably making somewhere around $60,000 a year.
A search of Alarid's home uncovered $175,000 in cash. Customs and Border Protection officials say they are taking steps to expose and prevent corruption. The agency recently began requiring lie detector tests, but only once upon hiring. Christopher Maston oversees all U.S. ports of entry for the agency, which employs more than 60,000 people.
Is it a hard job to think that everyone who's hired here has to be beyond corruption, that if $10,000 is basically waved in front of their face, they'll be able to say no?
I have to be focused like a laser beam on that vulnerability. It's their dream to have somebody on the inside working for them. It's my responsibility to make sure that that doesn't happen.
But investigators say what worries them even more is the serious threat to national security, the fear that terrorists could slip in. A new congressional report finds Mexican cartels are developing growing collaborations with terrorist organizations linked to Iran and Hezbollah. From 2006 to 2011, along the southwest border, the Border Patrol apprehended 1,918 illegal immigrants from 35 countries designated as states that could harm the U.S. with terrorism. Which makes this taped confession all the more chilling. The corrupt officer Alarid admits helping smuggle in 100 people.
And nobody that I know of that's been Laden or something. Well, I'm glad to hear that.
The problem is that because no inspection's taking place, they really have no way of knowing what's in the vehicles. They don't know who they're letting into the country. And that unknown is what scares us all.
16 or 17 different types of nationalities have been caught on the ranch that I know about, so why do you want to think something isn't going to happen bad?
On John Ladd's ranch, the steady stream continues, and he worries not only about the cost to his bottom line, but more importantly, to his way of life.
You lock your doors at night, and you got guns laying around, you got guns in the truck. You worry about your mother, your dad, your wife. You want to live like that? I'm a rancher. I don't want to live like that. But it's every day and costs a lot of money, wear and tear, stress. I'm getting to the point I don't have any confidence in our government, our system, or anybody trying to enforce the border.